Here we are. We're here. Our mics are working again. That one broke.
Mic's working is good.
This one broke. See, folks, like this is not a normal one. It just broke mid-podcast. Had no idea.
It really did. It just said deuces, Mike.
I didn't listen back to our old podcast, I don't usually listen to our show, if I'll be honest with you. Just because I hate hearing myself talk. And was it always bad? Was it bad from the start? Or did it drop off?
No. It was right at the hop. It was bad.
So that's great because I tested it right before and then it just stopped working right when I needed it. Awesome. It's like the Leafs.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
works great until you actually need it.
The Leafs are like a printer,
The one that I have sitting in the box over there.
The Leafs are like every printer I've ever had where it will, if you are not in a rush, if you're just dicking around printing stuff, I don't know how you like to spend your time, then you click a button and it works great. But if you have an assignment that's due in 5 minutes and you're under the gun and basically every second counts, that printer cannot wait to do maintenance. It cannot wait.
It has to download every driver.
To update its firmware or whatever it is. It's ridiculous.
Firmware. Oh my god.
Anyway, so the team that eliminated the Leafs, Rachel, the Boston Bruins, they kind of stink.
Well, yeah. Do they stink or are they just becoming really? Well, okay. Hang on a minute. I think we said whoever wins the Toronto-Boston series is gonna get stomped. That's exactly what's happening.
Here's a crazy thought, though. In my opinion, I don't think the Leafs would have gotten stomped. I don't think they would have won, but I don't think they would have gotten stomped.
Well, yeah, because Sam Bennett would have punched one of the Leafs' big four in the head, and then it would have been whoop, and all the alarm bells would have gone off. And let's face it, Jeremy Swayman is a better goaltender, regardless of how he's playing in the series. I actually think he's been pretty good. He's Florida's just really good. Ilya Samsonov against Florida?
Yeah. Well,
nope.
It depends if
Martin Jones?
Depends if Wool could have come back.
And so we know what the injury was.
Sprained back, right?
SI joint sprain. If anyone's had an SI joint sprain, not cute.
I've had one in my shoulder.
So you can't.
It's not fun.
If you have a sprain, Brad Treliving, kudos to him, came out and was it's in his lower back.
Should we talk about?
I don't want to talk about that stupid team.
About the press conference, though? About a sad, sad man sitting between two slightly less sad men?
My only real takeaway was that Brad Treliving, he identified every single problem with the roster.
He maybe said, the only quote that I was not a huge fan of was that, we need to have guys who are able to do the unsexy stuff, which something doesn't, or that most of the time doesn't require skill. And I'm you just scored one goal per game.
So do you know what he was talking about? Because I've worked with Derek Clancy, who said that all the time in Vancouver. Do you know what he was likely meaning there? We need guys that are willing to score the rebound goals at the net front, being a pain in the ass, versus guys who want to carry the puck into the slot and look for the between the legs goal. I think that's what he was getting at there. Not we need less skill. Zach Hyman is an incredibly skilled player, but Zach Hyman is, when he scores goals, they're not sexy. And I think that's maybe what Brad Treliving was, just based on my work with Derek Clancy and how he views things, and I know he's very similar to Treliving. I think that's probably what he meant there, which is a completely accurate assessment.
So, we know that Shanahan's staying, at least for this year, likely only for this year.
Probably.
But
They're not here to sell jerseys.
No, but it just seems like this is the year to make change. And I get that you have a new guy.
No, it was last year.
Well, yes. No, but I mean, they always say, the best time to plant a tree was 200 years ago. The second best time is now. That's the quote. I think, literally, I learned that quote from Jeff Merrick. Because that's something he's always Confucius say I'm Jeff Merrick kind of thing.
Oh, I know. I talk to Jeff
it's
on a daily basis.
But that quote, it's always stuck with me because it's true about everything. And specifically with this, it's why are you waiting a year to make a move that is almost that you basically have made your mind up about?
So I really, I mean, I think it's been litigated to death since
Yeah, we
it's
won't
happened on
spend too much
Friday.
time.
But, like, I'm seeing a lot of people being like, you're going to lose any Marner trade you make. Wrong.
No, you are going to win it because Mitch Marner will no longer be on your team.
And you get the cap space.
Yeah.
This is the notion that you have to win a trade in terms of assets is nonsense. The most valuable asset in the NHL is cap space.
And the alternative to that is he goes for nothing. You could trade him for conditional 7th.
What did I say?
It's better than letting him walk.
Yeah, exactly. What have I always said about major free agents? It is better to get something than to get nothing. It is better to get nothing than to overpay.
Yeah.
There are 3 options there.
Yeah. And so we went pretty hard on Mitch Marner. I think I don't think anything was out of line. But we went pretty hard on Mitch Marner. And we're like, man, we hope he turns it around. It seems like it's time for him to move. But like and then he speaks and you hope that and he reiterates I want to be in Toronto, tries to play humble.
Okay.
But his camp
X-nay on that one.
His camp continues.
F-.
His camp continues to yap because over the weekend, Rocket Security,
so back,
baby. Our best bud, the guy who
in our inbox,
a well-known inhabitant, a rent payer in our inbox, a tenant of ours, if you want to call it, in our inbox, and in the inbox of many other people.
And in the Instagram DMs and comments
is
of other
popping
people.
off on Instagram, and like normally. It wouldn't be notable. Like normally it's like whatever. It's just a guy going back and saying things. But the one that stood out to me, and the reason why I even brought this up in a public forum, was the response of like people were kind of litigating how Marner didn't do this, Marner didn't do that, and he goes, who else? And this is Marner's personal security team, someone he hires, he pays to go. He goes, who else shows up for them in the playoffs? I'll wait. Which, by the way. William Nylander, Austin Matthews,
don't watch the Leafs
Morgan
in the
Riley, like all of these guys, like even like
Mike,
Matthew Nyes,
John Tavares has even though he wasn't great in these playoffs, in fact he was poor.
Yeah.
Series winner last year, and 1 overtime winner this year.
Exactly.
So you can say what you want about Tavares' performance; it wasn't good enough. Series winner last year, immediately, shut your mouth.
Yeah, so
shut your mouth.
It's
Zip.
So like
William Nylander point per game.
So this just reiterates again that this guy is not
actually goal per game.
Yeah, this reiterates again. This guy's not cut out for this. Like we talked about it. How look, he's got all these people around him, and they're all talking shit, and like and. It's not like he's telling the argument from all the 16-year-olds with 4 teams in their bio. Who's it's at Mitchie Marnie forevers are gonna go like, but he's not telling them to do this stuff. So he's a 27-year-old man.
Let me tell you something. If you don't think that he talks to these people and that he's not aware of this happening, I have a bridge to sell you, and it might be a pretty expensive one because you are out to lunch. Anyways, we talked about Marner enough last episode, but. I think one notable thing to take away from that press conference, outside of like Keith Pelly saying we're not here to sell jerseys and good is simply not good enough. I like that attitude.
Yeah,
frankly, instead of burn the boats in the dressing room, they should replace that with good is not good enough.
Yeah.
I like that. But notably, when pressed on the core.
Oh, yeah. They're gone.
Brendan Shanahan's answer did not include the word yes when he was asked if he still has belief in them. Every other year, it has. And he tap danced around it like he was doing his best Lou Lamoriello impression imaginable. But the answer notably did not include the word yes. And because I think that was very telling.
Because they're gone. Like, not all. I mean, not by them. I mean, like Marner. Like that. That's gonna happen.
Well, and both Marner and Tavares, from a contract perspective, obviously no movement clauses aside, become easy to trade on.
Well, they have no money left on it. Basically.
July the 1st at 12:01, because their bonuses are due, and both of them are only on salary of $925,000.
So that's it.
So if you're Utah, for example. You have an owner who wants to spend money, and Rocket Security let us know.
Hey, he's like, hey, he's like that era is over.
So they want good players. They have money to
Well,
spend
then
on the cap.
They shouldn't get Marner then.
He's still a good hockey player.
I know.
But they have money to spend. They have an owner willing to spend. And this guy comes with like a big salary situation that, first of all, you don't really care about because he has almost no money to be actually paid. And you can immediately start discussing an extension with him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that is probably a good spot. The other one is Vegas. And we talked about that.
Yeah, we talked about these.
We talked about Vegas just because Vegas has is a proponent of, like, we didn't win, therefore we must make drastic changes. Whereas Nashville, not so much.
I can see Nashville, though. You reported, a bunch of other people reported that, like...
UC Saros.
Well, yeah, UC Saros, but also just, like, when it comes to waiving a no-move clause, like... Yeah. His wife and him do like Nashville.
His wife had her bachelor in Nashville.
Yeah, but everyone has their bachelor bachelorette parties in Nashville.
What I'm saying is, like, she goes to Nashville more than the average person.
Good, then get ready to learn Tennessee's, buddy. Like, go for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, look.
Anyways, that's
at the end of the day. Yeah. I just think that they're portraying, or they're dragging this out for a year. It reminds me a lot of when Shanahan first, like, and I know this is being batted to death as well, but, like, it reminds me a lot of when Shanahan first came and he extended Randy Carlyle for a year.
For stability.
For stability, but also for him to, like, be able to observe how this organization operates and then be able to make his cuts. But, like,
do you think they got a new toaster?
I hope so. At least one that...
Actually, I can confirm they did because I've used it.
That's good. Did you have any trouble with it?
No.
That's good. Okay.
It's very simple.
But...
The toaster in Vancouver didn't work, though.
I would have... By the way, so for those... Because keep in mind, that documentary came out 11 years ago.
Yeah.
2013. Like, holy shit, we're old. But, like, that documentary came out... it came out 10 years ago because it's 2014-15, I believe, was the Winter Classic. Or the... Whatever it was. The Heritage Classic. Was it Winter Classic?
Then it was 2016. It was, like...
No. It was the one before that. It was
because I did my internship with MLSE in 2015, and it was the winter after that. So it was July or January.
No, but
1st,
that documentary is not for the one with Matthews involved where he scores the winner.
Oh, right, that's for the Detroit
this is the one. They're both versus Detroit, but this one's in Detroit.
That's right. I was at that game. I was at both.
Yeah. But like, for people who don't know, because I believe it was 2013-14 was the year.
Bozak winner.
It was the Bozak winner in, like, the shootout. But
yeah, it was because my parents were getting a divorce.
Yeah, incredible. But for those who don't remember that, we used to live in a society, is what I'm trying to say, because.
And we don't right now?
No, we don't. We used to
Have
live
you been on Canucks Twitter or Oilers Twitter lately?
We used to live in a proper society.
Oh,
because we used to have HBO produce the best documentary series. NHL, like, 24/7, The Road to Winter Classic was the fucking best. Think about how many iconic moments came from that.
Humongous big.
Like Ilya Bryzgalov, like, he stretched out his career in the NHL by probably 2 years because of that documentary. Yeah. He was known. Former Edmonton Oiler, if you remember. Bruce Boudreau dropping like 25 F-bombs in 90 seconds. I've never heard him swear
outside of that situation, which is so funny.
John Tortorella, you get to see behind the scenes of that. Like, just so much, like, awesome stuff. And in the documentary, this is for the Leafs and Red Wings, at a time in the Leafs history when it's like the Kessel, Phaneuf, Dave Nonis is running this. Like, Randy Carlisle's the coach. Everyone hates Randy. Good one, Randy. Good one. Coming out, like, all that kind of stuff. But Randy Carlisle goes and he uses one of those toasters that's like a conveyor belt. It's like you find in like
Tim Hortons toaster.
It's the one you find in like a continental breakfast at a hotel. Goes around like that. But he for some reason his bagel gets stuck in the back of the toaster. And he spends, like, honest to God, like 2 minutes trying to fish it out. And he's freaking out and he can't do it. And it makes him look like such an idiot. Like, it was like that. Anyways. That's something that today Leafs PR would have, like, cracked down on immediately.
Oh, there's no chance.
There's no way that they show, like, if Sheldon Keefe at the time, R.I.P. by the way, if he was trying to make a piece of toast, got stuck in the toaster, and he's trying to fish, like, for example, I'll do this for example. The start of the year, I'm in the press box.
Okay.
And I'm waiting for the pizza that comes out. because that's my dinner.
Yep.
Because I'm very poor. And
it's not even good.
It's not. It's just pizza.
No, but it's not even the good pizza. Like
it's a bit elevated from normal pizza. It's like arena pizza and normal pizza are different. And this is arena pizza.
Yeah.
Although it was never like really hot. Like it's not great.
That's kind of what I was getting at is like
but you know what? It was free. It's fine because they do charge you like I think it was like $16 to eat the media meal downstairs. So whatever. Anyway.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's why I never had it. I'm not paying $16 for a buff for like cafeteria food. It's not happening. Anyway, and I'm waiting for it to come out because it usually comes right before the national anthem start. I look over and I see Brad Treliving, and he's going and the Leafs, the box that the Leafs management are in the press box, it has like a digital like keypad. It's the only one in the
remember when I got hauled in there mid-game once?
It has the digital thing. They literally tried a fingerprint scanner at one point, but I don't think it worked out. But Brad Treliving doesn't know how to get in here, and he spends like 5 minutes typing in the wrong passwords, looking quizzically at it, looking at his phone. Then he has to call IT to go and reset his password so he can let him in. If that got caught on a documentary footage, back then, they would put it there. Leafs PR would have assassinated the editor
immediately
if that happens.
Anyways,
Randy Carr, and I don't know how we got on that, but anyway, the Boston Bruins, Rachel, are melting down. Jeremy Swayman, who has not really played that bad, but still, the results show he's allowed 4, 5, and 3 goals against his last 3 games after allowing one, on occasion 2 before against the Leafs. Brad Marchand's injured.
Why is Brad Marchand injured?
Because Sam Bennett fucking clocked him.
And like, far be it for us, or really anybody, to be defending the Boston Bruins or specifically Brad Marchand.
Yeah.
You know it's bad when Brad Marchand is on the receiver of sympathy.
Yeah.
From the vast majority of like Leaf fans, Hab fans, Sens fans, I've seen Lightning fans. Like, I think at the end of the day, we can all agree that if that were a player on the team that you cheer for, you'd be irate. Case in point, last year in the second round, Sam Bennett, same player, coincidentally,
killed
must be
Matthew Nyes.
RKO'd Matthew Nyes and gave him a concussion.
Yeah, they knocked him out of the series.
It has been widely speculated that Brad Marchand has a concussion.
Yeah.
I'd like to point something out to you.
Okay, point it out. Point away.
So, in 2011, Gregory Campbell played for the Boston Bruins. And they were on the receiving end of some, we'll call it, favorable league decisions.
That series created the notion that the NHL favors the Boston Bruins.
Right. Do you know?
I know exactly where you're going with this.
So, now the Bruins are on the receiving end of this. But the common denominator here is who could possibly be an assistant general manager of the Florida Panthers? It's Gregory Campbell.
He is? I didn't know that. Wow. So Colin Campbell's up to his
I'm not saying that the league is or isn't doing anything. I'm just merely presenting some
We know
facts.
That we already know from leaked emails that Colin Campbell is a fucking asshole. Number one.
Doesn't care about head injuries.
And doesn't care about head injuries and also like favors his son, basically.
But like I find it rather convenient, I'm going to say. Convenience, the word I'm going to use.
Yeah.
I find it rather convenient
Yeah.
that the team that the executive vice president of hockey operations' son played on in 2011 was on the receiving end of favorable league decisions, and in 2024,
yeah, it's
his team is also been on the favorable end of it. And to add insult to injury, in a game that Sam Bennett should not have been playing in, he scored a goal that I spoke to 5 video coaches, like 5 of my old colleagues. Every single one of them said that they would have challenged that because they don't believe it should have been a goal. When it is that widely agreed upon that, like, that should be not a goal, and these are people that sit in seminars to discuss what is and isn't goals, and, like, two or three of them gave me a couple of examples of similar plays where it wasn't nearly as egregious and the goal was called back. So everyone, including video coaches, looked at that Sam Bennett goal and went, why does that count? And when your video coaches are confused, you have a problem.
So, yeah, so a lot of people are saying the Boston Bruins got kind of hosed on this this good goal call.
They did get hosed.
They did.
Was it the reason they lost?
No, definitely not the reason they lost. They are very clearly the worst team in this series.
They got outshot 43-18.
Exactly.
You don't deserve to win the game.
You are getting absolutely curb stomped here. Like the Panthers are just a better team. They have more depth. Like they have more offense. They have a better blue line. Like everything is just like they are better. Okay.
Exactly.
Like it even I could even say maybe Swayman has the edge, but then again you have like Sergei Bobrovsky who's playing great. So
exactly.
I
would say call that a wash.
You didn't even call it a wash, but they went on pretty much everything else.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
it's not even close.
Like they might even win. They might even win on coaching as well. Like Paul Maurice.
Maurice has them as a well-oiled machine. Now.
And it's funny because how much Paul Maurice's reputation has changed because he was known as a guy for many years up until last year, basically, as a guy who has never really accomplished anything. And
I feel like maybe he got ripped on for his time in Winnipeg and he has so many skilled players and he hasn't been able to do anything.
Well, maybe he's got.
Turns out maybe the skilled players in Winnipeg are the problem because Paul Maurice has a really skilled team in Florida and he's looking just fine.
It seemed like I can tell you from being around that team last year, like they all love each other in Florida. They practice ELE, everybody love everybody.
Man, what a throwback! That's like elementary school.
And they that's from Semi Pro, the Will Ferrell movie. But
that's why it's elementary school.
And
then.
and they buy in. They're a very unselfish team, which is kind of the opposite of what we've heard a lot about the top end forwards for a lot of Paul Maurice's time in Winnipeg.
Yeah, not even Paul Maurice's time. Currently,
or Claude Noel's time.
Claude Noel, Paul Maurice, Rick Bowness.
Yeah, and then there was Dave Lowry in between there too.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, the interim coach.
Anyways, so I think Florida is,
however, Rachel,
the better team.
Yes.
Boston got hosed on Bennett not being suspended, and then insult to injury, that goal
he scores
counting.
A goal that Now you're German,
correct?
So there's a and so before I say that, Don Sweeney, he comes out and I thought he was basically, and you know what, this is, and I tweeted it. This is one of those situations where it is heartbreaking. The worst person makes a great point.
Nah, that'd be Jeremy Jacobs.
Yeah, but it's something
the worst
to do with,
organization.
I don't know. Jeremy Jacobs didn't sign Mitchell Miller, so I'm
fair.
Exactly. So anyway,
I was fully expecting
after my correct opinion, but he comes out and he basically, and you were like you said, you were expecting him to go scorched earth on the refs, and he didn't go scorched earth, but he went about as hard as we've seen a GM go on officiating and against the NHL, because that he got
paying attention.
That he got a very stern phone call from Gary Bettman after that. Gary Bettman, they held a seminar with coaches before the season.
Which is ridiculous, by the way.
To be like, hey,
ridiculous.
With footage and statistics of how many times coaches are and basically being like, be nice to our refs.
Be better at your job.
Stop being so mean to our refs. They suck at their jobs, but they're people too, kind of thing. And so then Don Sweeney comes out. He's the GM of an original six team of the Boston Bruins, story team. And he comes out and he basically rips the NHL for their procedure, says we shouldn't be asking the coaches or asking the players about the officiating after the game. It's ridiculous. We should get the officials in front of the mics.
And there's nothing wrong with saying that. He wasn't critical of officials. Like, he didn't say these guys are trash, X, Y, Z.
And they are.
But he didn't say that. Yeah. So it's like you can't fine him because he didn't say anything disparaging about the officials. He said, you guys are asking questions to the wrong people. Mm-hmm. And I forget who on Twitter. It might have been Thomas Durant, who was the former PR director for the Florida Panthers. Yeah. So he's been on the other side of this. I thought he made a really good point, which is this is really the first time that an NHL GM has said, hey, this is a process we seriously need to look at. And it doesn't need to be a free-for-all. But you and I have talked about the soccer example. Yeah, you send a pool reporter down, and the ref answers the questions. It's not in a press conference where there's a stage or this and that, and you're not getting badgered. You send one guy down to have a proper conversation. And you know what? If it isn't the refs, because I understand, Kate, regular season, maybe not. And you probably don't need a ref, like, you probably don't need this to happen in every single game. It's just when there's controversial calls where you need this. In the playoffs, if you don't want to make your officials available, there is, and I know this for a fact, a supervisor of every series.
There is, yes.
The supervisor consistently meets with GMs of both teams and with coaches, quite frankly. If you don't want to make your actual officials available, make the supervisor available.
It just makes too much sense. Like,
so it won't happen.
Yeah, but like,
well, because that's accountability, and we can't have that.
Because the series gets overtaken by the narrative. Like, it takes away from the enjoyment. It takes away from the spectacle. When a series gets dominated by the narrative of the officiating. It happened with Florida versus Toronto.
I have a question for you. After game 2, you and I don't know if we talked about it on the pod, but we talked about it.
Which game 2?
After Florida-Boston game 2. When the NHL came out and said that series is going to be more heavily scrutinized. Oh, yeah. In game 3, you missed a punch, like a sucker punch. And in game 4, you very clearly missed. Like, what increased scrutiny exactly are we talking
They're not.
about
And you know
here?
what? Like, and this is I'm glad that Scott Wheeler of The Athletic tweeted this today, because I cannot share his sentiment more than I do.
Ooh, I missed this.
Well, it's just like where he just says, you know what? I don't have any energy anymore to shake my hands and to yell and scream about how terrible NHL officiating is. I just don't. They've won. They've beaten me down. They clearly don't want to get better. They clearly don't care about accuracy or consistency or anything like that. Or safety. They don't care. They're basic. It's just a kangaroo court from Department of Player Safety down to officiating. Just a kangaroo court with a bunch of guys who are all buddies with each other, who throw a dart at a dartboard every day, and whatever it lands on is the answer that they're going to have. Austin Matthews does a routine, cross-check to Rasmus Sandin that rides up 2 games. Brad Marchand, sticks his tongue inside someone's mouth probably. That's a $5,000 fine. It just, none of this makes any sense. And I echo that sentiment. I got on here, there was 3 months ago where I fucking lost my mind at George Peros and his stupid fucking mustache. I remember and I can't even remember what that suspension was for. I can't. It was probably Morgan Riley or probably something along that line. I don't know. I don't even think it was that, but it was just, because what else do we say? Nothing is going to change. I sat in a room and quizzed Gary Bettman about George Peros with George Peros in that same room. Nothing has changed. Nothing, people have done the same thing. So nothing has changed. I just don't have any energy for it anymore.
I do wonder. So there is a board of governors meeting, which is, there's NHL ownership, and then there's the executive.
There's the elites, the Illuminati.
Competition committee.
Yeah.
Right? Rocky Wirtz used to sit on it. But the head
It's the Illuminati. It's Jeremy Jacobs is the head of it.
So here's my tinfoil hat, not even tinfoil hat theory. This is a completely reasonable theory because I could totally see it happening. Because it's Don Sweeney that said that. Because it's the Boston Bruins, Don Sweeney does not go out and do that without the blessing of Charlie and Jeremy Jacobs.
Yeah, you think he came back and Jeremy Jacobs was like, what the fuck, man? Why'd you do that? Yeah.
Right? So, guaranteed, if Don Sweeney went out and said that publicly, that means Charlie or Jeremy
they think the same thing.
Said this to Gary Bettman's face.
Yeah.
Right? So, I think, listen, if enough of the powerful people in, the league, the powerful owners. So Larry Tannenbaum, Jeremy Jacobs, the Wirtz family, Mark Chipman,
Well, it's funny you say that too, because during the 12-13 lockout, Jeremy Jacobs is so powerful that I think Mark Chipman tried to say something. Yeah. And keep in mind this is Winnipeg, right? And
This was
he's
their
Boston.
first year.
Yeah. He just turns to me and goes, sit the fuck down and shut the fuck up to an owner, a fellow owner. And he did,
Yeah. And now Chipman is like basically his equal.
Well, yeah. Also, I mean, his team is hemorrhaging money.
And Chipman doesn't care because him and the Thompson family are two of Canada's richest families.
Even though he said, hey, you guys got to start buying tickets or else you might move.
I don't think he ever said we were going to move.
He said, we're going to
have to figure something out.
Yeah. Which everyone knows what that means.
Okay. Here's the thing. Where I'm going with this is because the Bruins said it.
It's a big deal.
It's a bigger deal. And I know people don't want to hear that. But at the end of the day, if the Bruins, the Leafs, the Rangers, the Blackhawks, the Red Wings, or Montreal says something,
yeah, it carries more weight.
More.
Yeah.
Why does it mean more? Well, because
they mean more.
Half of the goddamn teams in this league don't exist without those 6 teams and their revenue sharing capabilities. So you might not like it, but that's reality. And frankly, if it takes Don Sweeney or Larry Tannenbaum or whoever else, one of those like Chris Drury, who's the coach or the GM of the Rangers, or Brendan Shanahan, not Larry Tannenbaum. If Brendan Shanahan or Keith Pelley comes out and says like the same thing, like if enough of these guys come out and say it, the NHL is going to have to do something.
They will address it. They will get pressured.
The big players who prop their league up are calling for it. And whether other fan bases like it or not, they matter more.
You know what, right?
Because they matter to the bottom line.
What do we always say about Gary Bettman and his responsibilities?
He's responsible to the owners.
Gary Bettman works for the owners.
And if the owners want the officials to come out and answer questions, guess who's coming out and answering questions?
And it's the Illuminati of the league, which is the executive
competition committee.
Yeah, that's you have the board of governors, but then you have the elite,
executive,
the Illuminati, the 1%ers up here, pulling their strings, making their moves, like that. Like if they come out and they start saying something, if they decree it, then so it shall be decreed. Like that's just the way it is. So
I'll be interested to see what, if anything, the response is from the league, because I have to think, now that he said this publicly, I know there are other GMs that feel this way.
Yeah, Kyle Dubas is one of them. Kyle Dubas would kill a referee right in front of us right now if just for sport.
But there are other obviously I've worked for Ray, I've worked for Jim, and they routinely have said that they talk to officials. And so it happens behind the scenes. So it's at some point you kind of owe it to the paying customers to do something about this. And I wonder now that it's the Boston Bruins that have said something, because mark my words, if something happens in the Rangers series,
James Dolan's getting on the phone.
And Chris Drury James Dolan is just an absolute
James Dolan doesn't even know.
individual.
He doesn't even remember that he owns the Rangers. But
if Chris Drury comes out and says something, that'd be 2 original 6 teams and 2 very high driving revenue teams for the league. You're gonna have to do something.
And we know the Leafs have been in the league's ear consistently with the way that they're being treated. Yep. And with officiating, specifically when Dubas was at the helm. Yeah. So now you have that combination potentially of Boston, New York, and Toronto.
Yeah, that's a problem. It's a real problem.
When it comes to revenue generators and markets, Montreal is probably the most storied franchise in the league.
But they don't make the most money.
But they don't make the most money because their city isn't as big. It's New York,
Toronto, and Chicago.
Yeah, they make those if Connor Bedard starts getting smacked around. Although I have to admit,
the Blackhawks don't get shit.
But also,
as far as I'm concerned,
I don't think the Wirtz family is. I think the Wirtz family is going to take some time off from complaining about anything.
I think they probably should.
Because the league basically gave them a get out of jail free card for covering up the worst sexual assault scandal in NHL history. Basically,
they won a second lottery this year.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry. So they gave him they slapped on the wrist with $2 million. Fine.
It's embarrassing behavior.
Which is gate revenue from one game.
Not even.
Yeah, and then
they make 4.5 on gate.
It's crazy.
Game.
So it's half of gate revenue for a game.
They sold
and then
more,
they won the lottery.
They sold triple the amount of revenue in Connor Bedard jerseys in the first week than they had to pay in that fine. It's embarrassing behavior.
And keep in mind that they suck ass too. So it's.
So I do wonder now that it's been said by, no offense, but like a team that actually matters.
Yeah. If John Davidson, the Columbus Blue Jackets, are saying this,
nobody cares.
Gary Bettman's like, yeah, shut up.
But Jeremy Jacobs?
He's got to
Because if Jeremy Jacobs is bringing your phone off the hook, Gary Bettman, that's the guy, ultimately. Mm-hmm. And I've talked to enough people in the game who say, like, Bettman's not going anywhere until Jacobs wants him gone. Mm-hmm. Well, now...
This is a step towards it. He's getting his GM to come out and publicly criticize the way the NHL handles officiating. That's important.
Yeah, which means what's happening behind the scenes is not cute.
Mm-hmm. All right. The Rangers are really good. They're good as hell, I'll say.
I love watching them play.
I think, and I don't think this is too controversial to say, I think they're the Stanley Cup favorite. I know that me saying that about the President's Trophy winner is maybe, but I'm taking them. I'm saying they're the Stanley Cup favorite.
I'm not there yet.
Who's yours?
Dallas. Well, okay. No, not even Dallas.
Because the rain, like...
Here's how I see this shaking out. I think Florida gets through and the Rangers get through. I think that series is going to be an absolute bloodbath because those teams are insanely
Florida and the
good.
Rangers will be a great series.
The problem that you have is on the other side of it, whoever comes out of Colorado, Dallas is going to stomp whoever comes out of
Oilers and Canucks?
Canucks. Absolutely stomp. Like, it's not... And that's the thing is, like, those two teams, I mean, unless Georgiev turns into Stuart Skinner, which I guess is a possibility.
We saw him do that.
Is a possibility.
It's a distinct possibility.
But, like, even then, neither team has the horses to deal specifically with Dallas. Like, Dallas is too deep, and Dallas has, like, even if Thatcher Demko, let's say Vancouver goes through. If Thatcher Demko comes back, he's not going to be 100% healthy. Jake Ottinger is playing out of his mind right now. Mm-hmm. So now you're dealing with a team that is better than you and has a healthier goaltender who is playing better than yours likely can. Right? I'm not going to rule out that Thatcher Demko can't come back and be elite, but nobody is going to sit here with a straight face and say that Dallas is that, like, or Vancouver is better than Dallas from a skating perspective. Like, nobody is going to say that. And so I think we're in a situation where, similar to what we thought about the winner of Toronto-Boston getting mucked by Florida, I think that's exactly what's going to happen between the winner of Colorado-Dallas and the winner of Vancouver-Edmonton.
Yeah, I can see that.
Right? And so I think because of the bloodbath that's going to occur in Florida, New York, they're going to be in a tougher spot heading into the Cup final. That's the only reason I'm hesitating on the Rangers. Mm-hmm. But I think the Rangers and the Stars are the best teams left, at least for my money. That's where my money is. I actually have an exactor bet that I took at the beginning of the playoffs, which was Rangers to beat Dallas in the Cup finals and Dallas to beat the Rangers in the Cup finals. So if those two make it, I'm guaranteed to win, which is sex. I love that. So
that's the thing here, though, is like what the Rangers are doing. Like, so they definitely got a mulligan kind of on the Islanders. The Islanders, like they were probably the worst team.
The Caps.
The Caps. Why did I say the Islanders? Yeah, the Caps. They got a mulligan on the Caps. They're one of the worst, if not the worst team to make the playoffs.
They are the worst team.
They're the worst team, at least by goal differential, to make the playoffs in salary cap era history. Like that's just what it is. And the Rangers predictably beat the fucking shit out of them. Like killed them.
That was like they didn't stomp them. They
killed them. They nuked them. Like they
full blown.
Like they're like they salted the earth. Like they killed the women and children too. Like it's all that. Like it's bad. But this Canes team, this is the best Canes team of like the bunch of jerks, like, generation, Rob Brindamore generation. Like they went out, they swung for the fences in the offseason. They signed Dmitry Orlov, and then, turned Michael Bunting into Jake Gensel, and then they got Evgeny Kuznetsov for a song, this is the best team of Seth Jarvis came into his own. They got Marty Nikash along with, the Ahos and the Svechnikovs and all that. Like, Jordan Stahl still got nominated for the Selke this year. Like they're an incredible
really
team. They're an incredibly coached team. They have the consensus of one of, if not the best coaches in the league. And the Rangers are playing with their food.
Well, the thing is I don't know how much of the series you've watched, but like I've watched every game.
They've been close.
The games have been closer than the 3-1
definitely
series would have you. Like, this series could very easily be 2-2. Very easily.
Yeah, but it's not
2-2. In the same way that the Oilers could very easily be up 3-0 if they got
any
900 goaltending, and we'll get to that in a second. Mm-hmm. But I think when you look at this, the difference in this series has been Igor Shesterkin.
Yeah.
The guy makes better breakout passes than 50% of NHL defensemen. Like,
I hate to relate it to the Leafs again, Rachel.
He makes better breakout passes than all but two of the Leafs defensemen, one of which didn't even play in like a couple of the games. Like,
was it Liljegren?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Liljegren and Riley.
You
End of list.
Not even Jake McCabe?
No. Wow. Igor Shesterkin's breakout passes are better than Jake McCabe.
That's hilarious.
But this is the thing, is like, he makes better, like, let's look at the Oilers Canucks series.
You have Martin Brodeur back there, basically.
Yeah, let's look at the Oilers Canucks series for a sec, right? I think we can agree that Bouchard, Ekholm,
phenomenal.
Like, they make their breakout passes. Cody Ceci?
Nope.
Darnell Nurse?
Nope.
Probably not, right? Brett Kulak?
Nope.
Vincent Desharnais?
Nope.
All right, let's go to the other side.
Seaweed man?
Let's go to the other side of it. Quinn Hughes?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Philip Hronik?
Yep.
Yeah. Carson Soucy?
Nope.
Tyler Myers?
Nope.
Nikita Zadorov?
Nope. He's good, but nope.
Nope. Like, okay. Ian Cole?
Nope.
So, like, this is what we're talking about here. Now you look at Carolina, and it's like, they actually might be the only team that has, because, okay, Jacob Slavin, Brett Pesce, Brady Shea, Tony DeAngelo, but like, oh my, Kevin Bieksa did like a whole diatribe on how Tony DeAngelo simply cannot be trusted to play hockey, and I died laughing. But you look at it, and the point here is, the guy's rocking like a 936 in the playoffs. He has, outside of Joseph Woll, the best save percentage in the playoffs this year. And he is effectively one of the best breakout passers left in the playoffs. Like, it's insane. Then you combine that with the fact that Alexis Lafreniere has...
As we predicted it. We predicted it.
Us and Johnny Lazarus, we're in the front car of the Alexis Lafreniere train. Then you've got, like, Vincent Trocheck's been incredible for them. Artemi Panarin's doing his leg kick.
Mika Zibanejad's being great. You know, like they're getting Philip Hedl back. Like, it's, you know,
which,
like,
by the way, so happy to see.
Like, things are just going well for them. Like
everything's coming up Rangers.
Yeah, like the vibes are fantastic there. And you know what? In the playoffs, when things are like, playoffs are like tiny little microcosms every single game or every single series. Like, you get so locked in to play, like, you know, they're small sample sizes, but they feel like a lifetime. You feel like you're seeing this other team, and all you can think about is this other team, and all you can plan for is this other team. And, you know, you're eating breakfast, you're thinking about that team. You're eating lunch, you're thinking about that team. You're going to sleep, you're thinking about that team. You're in the shower, you know, like, and like, they're coming out on top. They've taken, like vibes matter when it's that close. And, like, the Rangers are having fun.
And I'm not going to sit here and
They've
say
lost
that
one game in the
Rod
playoffs.
Brind'Amour is getting out-coached, because I don't think he is. But where I'm going with this is, I think a lot of people question the Peter Laviolette hiring by the Rangers.
I personally did.
And, like, I had reservations, but I was like, I think this could work. Everybody was wrong. This has been...
It's been fantastic.
Fantastic. He is...
That's the Jack Adams one.
He's the right guy
he got nominated,
for the
right?
job. I believe he did, yeah.
He fucking better. He should win.
Like, genuinely, Peter Laviolette has gotten the Rangers, not only because the problem he had under Gerard Gallant was, like, the older guys are performing, but then he had no idea what to do with Kakko and Lafreniere and Edel or, like, anything like that. Now Laviolette's come in, and he's got the mix to the point where, like, those guys are contributing now. And we all said, if those kids start to contribute, the Rangers are going to be a fucking problem. And now, would you classify them as a problem?
Yeah, well, like, they're playing like a team that just added a first and second overall pick, respectively, into their lineup. Which is basically what they did. Like Lafreniere was headed towards bust category.
Yeah, absolutely.
We were wondering if they should trade him at the deadline and get anything for him, like last year.
Yep.
Peter Laviolette, like, puts his faith in him. Like, says like,
here you go, kid.
Like, do it. First power play unit. Let's put you in a position to succeed. Same with Capo. And boom. Who could have thought that treating a young, skilled player with respect, number one, and number two, belief. Yeah, and treating with them belief. Like, it worked. And now like, this is a team that, if they keep playing the way they are, they're like,
be a problem.
Like, I think, like, I personally think they're the Cup favorite. Obviously, Dallas will be in a good spot, at least, like, when they inevitably come and play them. But then, like, we also have to, like, I want to go back, is that, like, this isn't like a Mickey Mouse team they're beating. This is like the best. This is probably other than the.
I would say over the course of the last 5 years, probably the best team in the East.
Yeah, the Carolina Hurricanes, in the best version of that team too.
Yeah.
This is a team that actually can score. Before, it was all about the defense and basically them just playing like safe, protective, Corsi-friendly hockey. They have goal scorers. They have finishers. They have guys who are able to put like the dagger in the heart now. Yeah. And the Rangers are beating them. And like, they're close games, but at the same time, the Rangers are out shooting.
That's been the best series.
Yeah, but the Rangers are out shooting these guys. They're out chancing them. They're out hitting them.
Well, because Carolina gets a ton of like low danger chances because that's how they play, but the Rangers, I mean, first of all, Igor Shesterkin's not Stuart Skinner. You're not going to score on him from there. Like, that's just straight up. I saw a stat the other day that blew my mind. He gave up 4 goals the other night. It's the first time in over 30 starts in the playoffs that he'd done that. Second longest streak in NHL history. You know who owns the longest streak?
Who?
His backup, Jonathan Quick, that year in LA. So you're telling me that this guy, basically he's Henrik Lundqvist in the sense that if the Rangers score twice, you're probably not winning the game. If they score twice.
And we have to also remember, like, so he's got Igor Shesterkin. We just outlined how great he is. Jonathan Quick was the best backup goalie in the league this year.
Oh, it wasn't even close. He was better than most team starters.
Yeah. So if he goes down, like if Thatcher Demko happens to him, God forbid, knocked on wood if you can see that, you have Jonathan Quick, a guy who has now won 3 Stanley Cups, and is coming off a year. He won two with LA and one last year.
Vegas.
Yeah, and is now. And is now playing some of the
as a backup, which is insane.
Yeah, and he's now coming upon a career resurgence, and you go, oh, he's old, so like, can he handle it?
Still good.
Yeah, no, but like, can he handle the workload, buddy? Like, he'll have to play a max of like 10 games from here on out. Like it's not
like, even if he wanted to give Igor Shesterkin a rest,
you could just toss him in there tonight and be like, let's see. It's crazy.
It honestly would be like a fun wild card to play because Carolina wouldn't be prepared.
Yeah. However, like, if that backfires,
bad idea.
If that backfires, you're tempting fate.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Bad idea.
So you're right. This, like, the Oilers could definitely be up 3-0 on the Canucks. I want to do this quickly because I don't want to go on another hour-long podcast here. But I would say that the Oilers are the Canucks are beating up the Oilers. They're not, like, they're obviously beating them, but they are punching the Oilers a lot and cross-checking them a lot.
Well, yeah, I mean, they just had a defenseman get suspended.
Yeah, Carson Soucy suspended 1 game for cross-checking Connor McDavid in the face. What I found the funniest part of that is in the thing, they're like, we acknowledge that Connor McDavid's like stance, like his motion, his path was changed by the Nikita Zadorov cross-check that he was receiving at the exact same time. However, you can't cross-check a guy in the face, so we have to give him a game. Like that's basically, they're like, McDavid.
Listen, we understand why, but I honestly think, given that it's McDavid, had Zadorov's cross-check not happened and Soucy hit him in the face, we're talking about 3 games.
Yeah, because he would have crumpled. He would have, like, it would have been.
Well, because it, like, yes, the league is absolutely right and people are absolutely right. Zadorov's cross-check causes McDavid to change position. Even if Zadorov doesn't hit him, that is still a high cross-check. That cross-check is coming in just at the neck.
Yeah.
Which is still way too high. You're also talking about, whether you like it or not, talking about the best fucking player in the game. So, too bad. No offense, but like,
and yet, you know
not
what?
the goddamn same.
You can't, when it comes to Nikita Zadorov, you can't make me hate him.
No, I love Nikita Zadorov.
Because his quote, where he's like, I love playing in Edmonton. The crowd's crazy. It's like, and like, there's nothing else to do here except watch hockey, so I get it.
He
like,
also demolished Evander Kane last night, to the point where Evander Kane's ex posted about it. And
you know what? Okay. I don't even acknowledge that anymore, because if someone like sneezed in Evander Kane's direction, she'd put on her story, like, you know.
No, I do love Nikita Zadorov though, but I think all of this uproar about Carson Soucy and everything like that, in the same way that like Morgan Riley said he meant to cross-check Ridley Gregg in the shoulder, and because Gregg put his arm up, the cross-check rode up and hit Gregg in the head. Riley got 5 games. Yeah. Deserved 5 games.
Okay, so why is this only one playoff game? Doesn't that equal 2?
2, but I think they saw this, and so they saw this because McDavid had engaged with the slash. Mm-hmm. By the way, he slashed Soucy on the leg, and they were like, well, then suspend McDavid. Nobody is getting suspended for a slash on the leg. Like, are you so serious right now? But I think when you look at this, had Soucy hit McDavid without the Zadorov cross-check, so if he would have just hit McDavid in the face, we're probably looking at 3 games, which is 6 regular season games, right? Or at least 2, which is 4. Yeah. Like, so I look at this and I go, I think 1 game's appropriate here, because regardless of whether Zadorov changed his position and like fucked over his teammate in the process, you can't cross-check somebody in the head. Because you know what? If Carson Soucy doesn't cross-check McDavid at all, Nikita Zadorov's cross-check is completely irrelevant. And he was, by the way, fined $5,000. So, like, the league deemed that to be an unacceptable play as well, but that was not a suspendable play by any sense of the word. That was a cross-check to the back. And I think the only reason he got suspended was because it was after the game.
Rachel, if you were a genie,
okay,
and I rubbed a lamp and you popped out and you were like, hey, and like you
never had a friend like me.
Never had a friend like me.
I can do that whole dance.
You will not do it on this podcast. However, and if you went up and you went, no 3 wishes, I'll give you 1 wish. It could be anything. You could ask for unlimited money with unlimited consequences. You could ask for, Florence Pugh to fall in love with you, show up at your door right now and propose to you. You could ask for, your parents' respect, anything like that. Things that you've wanted for your whole life.
Okay, I have my parents' respect, but all right.
I do as well. I'm just joking.
No, but I get it. You get 1, not 3.
You get 1.
And you can't wish for unlimited wishes.
Exactly. But this is anything. Like, this is like, you could wish for anything. You could wish to be Batman,
That would be you.
Yeah. Like, you could wish to, like, be Batman. You know what I'd wish for?
What?
Both teams to lose this series. That's what I would wish for. I wish for both of these teams to lose, and we just write them out, and they don't, and we move on, and we just give Dallas, a bye to the conference, to the Stanley Cup final. That's what I.
Or
that's
Colorado,
what I would,
whichever one.
But that's what I would wish for. Because I fucking hate both of these teams, and I just don't want Oilers fans to be happy. I just don't.
I'm really struggling right now
but specifically the Oilers, like, I don't.
Can we agree though?
Maybe not Oilers fans.
Okay, so we've had discussions on this podcast about how Oilers Twitter and Oilers media,
they're crazy,
and Canucks Twitter and Canucks media are the most batshit.
They're the most unhinged.
Like, crazy. They are doing absolutely nothing to beat those allegations.
Well, Mark Spector.
There is more shit going on Twitter from, and I'm not even talking about like the chirping and the whining. I've seen racism. I've seen people attacking Brock Besser's father which is, by the way, way, way out of bounds.
Yeah.
I've seen misogyny. You want to chirp each other's cities?
You see misogyny. That's just because you logged onto Twitter.
But, like, you want to chirp each other's cities. You want to call Edmonton a dump. You want to... Whatever.
Is.
Fair.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can do that. That's cool. The moment you get into the racism, homophobia, and going after a player's late father, we are well past the situation. But also, if I see either one of those fan bases ever going after Leafs fans, Habs fans, Bruins fans, any other fan base for whining, I'm literally just going to be like, here are 400 screenshots. Like, I could have a Google Drive of shit from the nonsense here. And it is, honestly, it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely embarrassing.
Know what?
So I want them both to lose. I want Edmonton to go through because I have some friends on the team. I think it's not a fucking secret why I don't want Vancouver to go through. But honestly, the quicker both of these teams are out, the more... There's more shit going on Twitter than there is on the ice, and we just had a fucking suspension. Like, I don't get it.
On top of that, too, like, Mark Spector wrote like a Mean Girls burn book of a column.
Oh my God,
on his other media members about how they complain about the officiating all the time.
And he went after a retired media member in Vancouver. What are you doing?
He has to sit next to those guys every game. If I decided to, and I don't know why I ever would do this, but if I ever decide to read a Mark Spector column and he's like, oh yeah, the Toronto media suck, they're doing all this stuff, and I have to like see him in like the line for pizza, I'm throwing hands, man. Like, what are you talking about? You can't just... Mark Spector seems like the kind of guy who thinks he can just say whatever he wants.
Former head of the Pro Hockey Writers
Association. And like...
But generally speaking,
there are a lot of weird people that have been involved.
The whining
that are or have currently been the head of that organization.
I saw a Vancouver media member suggest that McDavid should be suspended for a slash. Not a fan on Twitter.
No, a media member.
A media member. Embarrassing.
Was it a media member or was it like, I don't know, like a Hockey News or
No. Like a fully credentialed
so a real
media member.
Yeah,
someone who interviews players and that is embarrassing behavior.
That is embarrassing.
If you think a slash to the leg is a suspendable play,
you know why, Rachel? It's because they haven't been to the playoffs in like a decade, so they don't remember what the playoffs are like.
Yeah,
it was the same with Leafs fans when they finally made the playoffs again against Boston, and every single time Boston looked in their direction, people were freaking out like, "What's going on?" It's because like they forgot what the playoffs were like.
The sooner both these teams are out,
the better.
The better off we'll be. And like, honestly, I mean, I think Canucks Twitter is the most insufferable place on fucking earth. But that might be because I was the target of rape and death threats for 8 straight months. So I look at this and I'm like, everything I've said about you people being the most psychotic lunatics on this hell site outside of like the Donald Trump fanatics is being proven to be very accurate.
All I'll say is every time I get a hate message or a bunch of bullshit in my DMs and stuff like that, it's from an Oilers fan. So like, but it's obviously not on the same level as you. I just hate both of these teams.
They both need to just get the fuck
out. All
Exactly.
right. Well, that brings us to the end of the show. As always, subscribe to us on YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, pretty much any Twitter, any podcatcher under the sun. We'll be doing some Mike's Meals for One stuff relatively coming up soon. I got a message from someone who wants to see more of that, so that'd be great. And then on top of that, donate to Jumpstart, our charity of choice. Jumpstart helps economically disadvantaged kids play team sports, which is a cause that is near and dear to Rachel and I's hearts. All of the links and everything will be in the description of the episode below, so go check that out. And we will see you on Friday.